Members of the Kisii County Assembly on Thursday, February 29th, supported an impeachment motion tabled in the House by Ishuni MCA Wycliffe Siocha against 17 who opposed it. Let's cross over to the Senate.
Visited there once when I was immediately at the SIMT office, and this is the time I realized that there are 4 enforcement officers who are deployed there without any documentation, and I have complained about it. How long I've acted? This is the 7th month now, since 11th August of 2023.
Senator Chute, any question or clarification you're seeking?
Question, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have 2 questions. Question number 1 is to the witness. How long have you worked as in the capacity of acting director? Number 2, the 4 officers who are deployed at the Deputy Governor's house, who is supposed to take responsibility? Is it the Deputy Governor or your office? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I was appointed to act as the acting director of enforcement on 11th August 2023, and that means that I've been acting for the last 7 months. About the 4 enforcement officers who are working at the Deputy Governor without official deployment, I take the responsibility, and I've said before this Senate that immediately I learned about this development, I wrote a complaint letter to the chief officer in charge, asking him to seek to take it up.
Senator Enoch, what's your clarification?
Thank you, Speaker. To the witness. Question number 1. When exactly did you get to know about the mobilization and deployment of officers to the home of the Deputy Governor? Secondly, according to your own records, the incident happened on 20th of December 2023, but the first letter that you've written on this matter is on 1st of March. Why did it take too long for you to demand an explanation? And lastly, at the time of your demand letter to your deputy, had the impeachment proceedings against the Deputy Governor started? Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I learned about the deployment of the 20 officers at the Assembly when the motion of impeachment was being discussed. And upon learning that, as an officer who is in charge of that directorate, I felt that my department is implicated, and I thought it's prudent for me to take a statement and shed more light about that incident. That is on 29th of February 2024. The following day was 1st March. That is when I wrote a letter to my deputy director in charge of sub-counties, instructing him to start investigations and report to my office what transpired on that date of 29th December 2023, and explain to me why this information did not reach our office. On 4th of March, my deputy writes to me after undertaking preliminary investigations, and he confirms to me that indeed the 20 enforcement officers were mobilized and they assisted in the arrest of our Deputy Governor, his brother, at his home at Keumbu. And why it take long, Honorable Senate, is a question that all of us we need to understand that this this occurrence is happening in the home, the home of a deputy governor, and the sub-county commander is involved in this arrangement, and the sub-county admin. The reason why they did not report to me as usual is an issue that that requires further investigations and disciplinary action taken against them. And I've recommended in my letter, if you can see, the letter I did dated 8 March 2024 to the chief officer, that the sub-county, the second last paragraph, the sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander failed to report to office as required of them, reason well known to them, and I forwarded the chief officer for further action.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would like to ask the witness, one, who is in charge of civil servants at the sub-county level? And two, what position did you serve before being appointed acting director of enforcement?
Honorable Speaker, at the sub-county level, the person who is in charge of enforcement officers is the sub-county enforcement commander, who reports also to the sub-county administrator. The sub-county commander reports to my office directly on matters of enforcement. Upon the position I held before I became the acting director of enforcement, I have been the deputy director of enforcement in charge of Kisii municipality.
Now, as regards to the issue raised by Senator Crystal Lesige, I will read the summons so that you may appreciate the contents of the summons. To Mr. David Hagai Oyagi, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act 2012, on Thursday, the 29th of February 2024, the Kisii County Assembly approved a motion for removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Dr. Robert Onsare Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County. And whereas by a letter dated Wednesday, 1st March 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate, on the 2nd of March 2024, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents and evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(5) of the County Governments Act, Cap 265, and Standing Order 81B2 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate, at a sitting held on Thursday, the 7th of March 2024, resolved to investigate the matter in plenary within 10 days. And whereas following the resolution of the Senate at a sitting held on Thursday, the 7th of March 2024, the clerk of the Senate issued invitation to appear to the County Assembly of Kisii and to the Deputy Governor of Kisii County, inviting them to appear and be represented before the Senate during its investigations and to file with the office of the clerk of the Senate various documents relating to the matter. And further, by a letter reference CAK/3/1/C/CS/002 2024, dated the Friday 8th of March 2024, Honorable Dr. Philip M. Nyanumba, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii, in response to the invitation to appear and pursuant to Rule 10 of the third schedule to the Senate Standing Orders, requested the Senate to summon you to appear before the Senate. And further, whereas by the Speaker's ruling made during the hearing of the Senate on Wednesday, the 13th of March 2024, the Senate acceded to the request by Honorable Dr. Philip M. Nyanumba, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii, on behalf of the County Assembly of Kisii. And whereas Article 125 of the Constitution, Sections 18 and 20 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, and Rule 10 of the third schedule to the Senate Standing Orders empower the Senate or its committees to summon any person to appear before it for purpose of giving evidence or providing information. Now, therefore, the Senate hereby summons you to appear before the Senate in person on Thursday, the 14th of March, 2024, at 2 p.m. at the Senate Chamber, Main Parliament Buildings, Nairobi, to do the following. 1, produce your appointment letter. 2, confirm if the persons who are said to be working in the Deputy Governor's home are officials in the county. Take note that should you fail to attend before the Senate on the date and time specified in this summons, or to produce the documentation required by the Senate may impose upon you a fine not exceeding 500,000 shillings, or may order for your arrest pursuant to sections 19.1 and 19.3 respectively of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, and 2, you shall also be guilty of an offense as stipulated under section 27.1a(1) and 27.1c2 respectively of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, for which you shall be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 200,000 shillings, or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months, or to both such fine and imprisonment. Given under my hand, for and on behalf of the Senate, this 13th day of March 2024. Signed by J.M. Nyegenya, CBS, Clerk of the Senate. Honorable Sige, I hope then that clarifies your issue. Proceed.
Those are live pictures coming from the Senate that is handling the impeachment of Kisii Deputy Governor Robert Monda, who has so far pleaded not guilty to the 4 charges leveled against him. It is a matter that we are following up on the whole day today, as the Senate is expected to give its decision a little bit later. But now let's take a short commercial break. We will be back with much more.
KTN News. Get the whole story. We value your feedback and welcome any comments, queries, or complaints regarding our news content. You can get in touch with us on SMS 22155, call 0719 012 450, or email feedback@standardmedia.co.ke, or you can send us a letter on Post Office Box 30080-00100, or deliver it to our offices at Standard Group Center, Mombasa Road, Nairobi.
This February, tunakupenda daily on Star Times,
where you make me the happiest man on earth.
Me, of course, me napenda kijana. I like you, bro.
Renew your subscription today. Star Times. Enjoy digital.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
Thank you for watching News Center and welcome back. Now, more than 20 journalist associations under the Kenya Media Sector Working Group will be heading to court to sue the Government and ICT Principal Secretary, Professor Edward Kisiangani, for directing state agencies to withdraw all government advertisements from privately owned radio and television stations. According to the associations, the Kisii directive is short-sighted, erroneous, discriminatory, and therefore patently unconstitutional. The associations have further termed the directive as the latest in a string of state actions clearly designed to clamp down on Kenya's free media. KTN's David Muthoka reports.
On Friday last week, ICT Principal Secretary Professor Edward Kisii issued a directive on behalf of the government that dealt private radio and television stations that have been earning from airing government advertisements a serious financial blow. In a memo to all state agencies, the ICT Principal Secretary directed them to immediately cease advertising through any privately owned TV and radio stations and advertise through state-owned Kenya Broadcasting Corporation KBC only. Days after that directive was issued, 21 associations of journalists, among them the Kenya Union of Journalists and the Kenya Editors Guild, have jointly faulted the ICT Principal Secretary over his decision to shut private TV and radio stations out of advertising opportunities offered by the government.
The Kisii memo to state officers and independent commissions is therefore an inexcusable breach of his oath of office, short-sighted, arbitrary, erroneous, malicious, discriminatory, demeans leadership and integrity principles, and therefore patently unconstitutional.
The associations say that the directive not only threatens to erode the freedom of media, but could also force closures and job losses in the media sector.
As we speak, we know that there are media houses that actually laid off colleagues as a result of a bad operating environment. We know that right now we've got colleagues who have downed their tools because the last time they were paid was in 2022. We know that there are colleagues who have gone for over 12 months without pay. And all these things are happening because we've made media environment very difficult to employ and retain the staff there.
Terming the directive as unconstitutional, the associations under the Kenya Media Sector Working Group announced that they will take legal action against the government and ICTPS Professor Edward Kisii.
Our lawyers are working on some papers so that we go to court, and I think once we file, you should be able to be notified that we filed in court, because all these policies, like we said, they will not go unchallenged. We'll challenge all of them.
The Kisii directive came barely months after the ICT ministry directed state agencies to place newspaper adverts on the Star newspaper only, edging out other newspapers such as The Standard and Daily Nation that boast of a significantly higher circulation. The directive further comes amid a ton of assurances from President William Ruto that he will safeguard the freedom of media, issued before he was elected president and even after climbing to power. David Muthoka, KTN News, Nairobi.
Thank you, Muthoka, for that report. And now we go back to the Senate that has kicked off the Day 2 plenary sessions to determine the fate of Kisii Deputy Governor Robert Monda, who is facing impeachment. We cross over to the Senate and follow that session live.
Of the defendant going to be magnanimous enough to come and rescind that statement so that it is not in record that this witness serves at the pleasure of the governor of Kisii and that he is appearing this morning purely to canvass to be confirmed in his acting capacity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Council for DG.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the question and the fact that the witness acts in an acting capacity was the reason for the contention that he acted under at the pleasure, not at the direction, at the pleasure of the governor, who will ultimately following directions from the County Public Service Board, be responsible ultimately to his final substantive appointment.
Very well. We will allow the witness to retire and now proceed with the defense of the Deputy Governor. Counsel for Deputy Governor, it is now your time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Our first witness is Mr. Joseph Misati. Mr. Speaker, sir, do I proceed or I hold on?
Now, counsel for the Deputy Governor, you have 4 hours to put your defense. Depending on how many witnesses you intend to call, you need them to work within those 4 hours. And we are going to adjourn at exactly 1 p.m. to reconvene at 2:30. So kindly have that in mind, that you have 4 hours within which to put your case forth. Proceed.
Before my time starts running, Mr.
It's already
Speaker,
running.
Could I request for 2 accommodations, Mr. Speaker, sir? You recall yesterday when we dealt with the first witness, we had a situation where the time tended to go out of hand because there was no limitation, both in terms of evidence in chief and cross-examination. Subsequently, we had a situation where you required of us to declare how much time we need in evidence in chief and cross-examination. And I would request that we adopt the same approach so that my colleagues for the county do not squander my time in the course of cross-examination.
Now, counsel, if we may adopt we've just had this witness who just retired. If you can be able to just adopt the time indication as we've observed with this witness, I think that would be a good guiding principle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Examination took 20 minutes, cross-examination 15 minutes, re-examination 10 minutes.
This witness is fairly substantive. I intend to use 30 minutes, but I will manage my time.
So then, counsel, let's agree this way, that your examination, evidence in chief, you'll do 30 minutes.
Yes, yes.
Cross-examination then will take 15 minutes, re-examination 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if you may allow me, because you've given directions as to cross-examination. And yesterday, when we were dealing with the crucial witness, my learned senior, Mr. Kagan, took approximately 1 hour, 20 minutes with the key witness. We may not be much interested with the witness that he has now just subpoenaed, but when it comes to the real culprit, we would request the Senate to relax the rules so that we're able to effectively bring out the fictitious story.
Let's cross the bridge when you get there.
Number two, Mr. Speaker, sir, perhaps our senior needs to put on record his appearance so that we may not have strangers.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my name is Katwa Kigan, and the witness I'm calling is Mr. Misati, assisted by my office assistant, Mr. Sagini. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I thought you would require of my colleague to withdraw the use of the word culprit.
That is unparliamentary, and therefore I order that to be expunged from the record.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and he has whispered an apology to me, and I accept it.
The counsel for the county assembly was alleging a presence of a stranger in the representation.
May I explain, Mr. Speaker, sir?
Counsel for the county assembly, are you now comfortable?
Well, to the best of our remembrance is that Mr. Katwa Kigan did indicate his appearance yesterday, and therefore we expect and anticipate that the same shall not be adjusted to suit his circumstances.
Proceed, counsel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
It's okay. It's okay. I, Joseph Doyle Misati, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
We proceed directly. Could you tell for the record your full name? Oh, you've given the full names. What do you do for a living?
Me, I am a retired civil servant, and for my living, I've got some small businesses, and I have some dairy cows.
So you have dairy cows. Your son yesterday said you also run an M-Pesa business?
That's it. That's why I've said that I've got small businesses, including M-Pesa.
Okay, I'll just ask so that the Senate has the benefit of understanding you. How old are you, if you don't mind?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am 68 years old.
And you said you're a retired civil servant. What were you doing before your retirement?
Pardon?
What were you doing before your retirement in civil service?
Me, in the civil service, I was a livestock officer in veterinary section.
Okay. And lastly, do you have any religious affiliation and any church standing?
And?
Do you have any religious affiliation and do you enjoy an office in church, if you do?
Mr. Speaker, sir, by religion, I am a Catholic, and even when I was in Form 1, I tried to go to Rakwaro Seminary, where I intended to be a priest, but I fell on the way.
Okay, and so you are a Catholic as we speak now?
Correct.
Okay. And Dennis, who was a witness yesterday, is your son, is it true?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And I would like you to be shown the honorable members, the Deputy Governor's defense, page 59 to 62. I would like you to be shown that page 59 to 62. Do you have it? Could you confirm that is the statement that you made in respect to this case?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Now, do you know Dr. Monda?
Mr. Speaker, sir, very well.
You know him. How do you know him?
His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County, Dr. Robert Onzaremunda. We have known each other more than 32 years.
You have been friends for over 32 years.
Yeah.
And apart from being friends, have you stated in your affidavit that you worked together also at various points in your civil service?
Mr. Speaker, sir, yes.
You've worked together. Now I'd like to move on because of time, and before we go into the details, yes, you are aware, you know what the Dr. Monda, your friend, has been accused of, being that he received a bribe from your son and that he threatened your son. You're aware of those allegations?
The allegation, I don't, yes.
You are aware?
Yes, I do.
You also heard what your son said in testimony, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so let's start with the first thing that your son admitted. Is it true that indeed, throughout the issues that this Senate is going to consider, whenever your son needed anything, he would tell you and then you would tell the deputy governor?
No, please.
Did the deputy governor have a direct conversation with Dennis?
Mr. Speaker, sir, no.
There's no point at which the two of them spoke directly to each other, isn't it?
It's me who do direct communication to His Excellency, the Deputy Governor.
Okay. And number two, he also said that it is true that the two of you, having been friends, were exchanging favors in terms of money, stocks, and goodwill between the families. Is that correct? Over the 32 years?
Mr. Speaker, sir, correct.
Okay. He also said that he relocated from Nairobi to Kisii, to your home state. Is that correct? At a certain point in the year 2023?
If I may explain, I say no. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is me who reallocated my son to move from Nairobi to homeland Kisii.
Yes, so that's what I was asking you. So basically it is true that he moved from Nairobi to Kisii sometime in the year 2023, isn't it?
Somewhere 2023, and he came alone without his wife.
Okay. And it is also true, as he says, that you assisted him to relocate?
It is me who assisted him.
To relocate?
Yeah.
How did you assist him?
After he said he had been staying in Nairobi for more than 13 years, and there was little communication, me and my son. Now I decided, because I'm aging, I tried now to see how I can bring all my children together. Then I made an effort to look for him. Then somewhere between April and May, between April and May, I called him back to home.
Mr. Misati, just let me manage, because of time, let me just manage what you're saying. So basically it was, whose idea was it for him to relocate?
Pardon?
Whose idea? Was it your idea, or?
It was my idea, Mr. Speaker.
It was your idea, and you facilitated his relocation?
Correct.
Okay, let's move on then. Now, he says that your testimony, both at the assembly and your testimony today, which is captured in your statement, is meant to cause him to lose his money. What do you have to say about that?
About what?
That you want him to lose, what you're doing is to frustrate him getting back his money. What do you have to say about that?
That one, because I've not reached there, I don't know which money.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, then you want us to deal with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll change my approach, then we come back. Let's then talk about the real issue that we are here about. Is it true that a certain sum of money was paid out to Dr. Monda on the 28th of May 2023?
Mr. Speaker, yes.
It is true. Could you tell this Senate, this Honorable Senate, how that money was remitted?
Mr. Speaker, sir, on 28th of May 2023, as usual, and as friends, it is me who made appointment to see His Excellency the Deputy Governor at his home. And when I went with my 3 sons to his home. And as we were seated, had some social discussions with His Excellency the Deputy Governor about 20 meters from where I left my sons. That's the time the DG told me that he had given me money somewhere in October, November 2022 after elections, 500 shillings. Now, he asked me whether I am in the position to refund his money. And in that connection, I told him, yes, I can try to refund the money. Then from my joint account with my wife, I transferred money from my account to His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, 73 times, and then 41,000, making 251. Now, because as we were discussing, he told me that he needs some money in cash. Then I told him now, because I don't have money in cash, what I'll do is to instruct my wife so that he can send money to my son, Dennis. And my wife did that by sending 250,000 in that process to go on to withdraw in the nearest market. But when we tried to get that money, it was late. And there was no shop which had that float. Therefore, I instructed my son to transfer that money to his Deputy Governor, to His Excellency the Deputy Governor, Dr. Monda.
Okay. So I would like us to look at your statement and just to take the honorable senators through the payments. And I would like you to go to page 60, paragraph 11 of your statement. And I would like to correlate that with page 65 to 66. Page 11 correlated with page 65 to 66. Are you at page 65? Okay, in paragraph 11, you're saying that I therefore refunded by paying 251 directly from my cooperative bank. You can see that at paragraph 11?
Yes, okay. Mr. Speaker.
And then, so you paid 70,000 3 times and 41,000. I would like us to go to page 65. Are you at page 65?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Could you confirm at page 65 that the remittances of 70,000 is reflected 3 times there?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
And I want you to turn over to page 66. Is it true that 41,000 is shown there?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
And could you confirm that this is money that was pulled out of your account, the joint account of yourself and your wife, directly to the M-Pesa account of Dr. Monda?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. And the name of the account is Joseph D. Misati and Anna N. Misati, isn't it?
Correct, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Now let's move on to paragraph 12. At paragraph 12, you said, I thereafter asked my wife to remit the balance of 249,000. I instructed her to remit the amount to my son Dennis. You can see that?
Correct, Mr. Speaker.
I would like to take you to page 75. (75 to 88), and I want us to go specifically to page 87. Are you at page 87? Your wife's M-Pesa statement is page 75 to 88, honorable members. The DG's bundle. And I would like you to go to page 88 particularly. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Could you confirm that between 2001 and 1941, between the hours 1944 and 2001, your wife remitted the sum of 50,000, 50,000, and 150,000 to Dennis Misati as he appears on the face of that M-Pesa?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. And that constitutes a total of how much?
250,000, Mr. Speaker.
250,000. Now, what was the purpose of this remittance of the money?
The purpose of this remittance to my son, Dennis.
Sorry, no, I mean, so we've seen you pulled out 250 from your cooperative account and another 250 from your wife through Dennis, isn't it?
That's correct.
And then you sent to Dr. Monda, isn't it?
I instructed my son to
That's okay. So you sent it to Dr. Monda, this total of 500, isn't it?
Correct, Mr.
What were you giving this 500,000 to Dr. Monda for? Why? What?
It was a refund, Mr. Speaker, sir. The money which he gave me in November, October 2022.
So it was a refund.
Yeah.
Number two, whose money was this?
The money was mine.
It was
ours.
Sorry?
It was ours.
What does ours mean? Who and who?
I mean me and my wife.
It was yours, you and your wife.
Yeah.
Was Dennis part of the ownership of that money, the 500,000?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay. Dennis says that he had given you this money and the two of you were holding this money on his behalf and that he gave you in cash. Is that true?
It's untrue, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It's not true that he had given you any money. It is not true that he had given you any money.
It's not true that he gave me any money.
Okay. And this money was yours with your wife?
Correct, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Now, and your position is that it was a refund. Was it a bribe?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It was a refund, not a bribe.
Yeah, so it was a refund.
Okay. Now, let's just digress a little before we come back to the 300,000. You said, were you seated first of all, you said you went with how many sons?
3.
Was it 3 or 4 sons?
Okay. No, you see now I'm not counting the driver.
Okay. So how many were you? How many sons did you go with? 4 sons. And yourself. You were 5 people in Deputy Governor's house.
Correct, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Who initiated the idea of going to visit the governor?
Mr. Speaker, sir, it's me.
It is you who said, how did you initiate it?
This is not the first time if I need to.
Because of time, just go answer my question directly.
Pardon?
Just answer my question directly. How was the idea of going to visit the governor?
Through a call.
By who?
By me.
To who?
To His Excellency the Deputy Governor.
So it is you who requested to go and see him?
Correct.
And when your son says in his statement and in his affidavit that it is the Deputy Governor who summoned you, is that correct?
No,
that's
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay, let's move on. Now, you said, were you then 5 people seated together, 6 people, you, Deputy Governor, and your 4 sons, were you seated together when this money is changing hands?
No, we were not seated together, and I think I'm repeating that after we entered his house, me and His Excellency the Deputy Governor, His Excellency Dr. Robert Monda, we moved aside about 20 meters to have our own social discussions.
So you went aside, the 2 of you?
Correct.
And the boys remained 20 meters away?
That is it.
Did they participate in your conversation?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And so when Denny says they sat far away from you and that they did not participate in your conversation, that is true?
That is true.
Okay. Now, then at paragraph 14, it is said that you received, there is another 300,000 that was given to the Deputy Governor, paragraph 14. It is said, then he says there was another 300,000 that was given in cash. What do you have to say in respect to that 300,000?
Mr. Speaker, sir, that's untrue, because if you look at my balance in the cooperative bank had more money if I were to give the 800 alleged.
And I just want you to answer directly. Dennis says you and him walked to the deputy governor's office at the stadium and handed over 300,000 in cash. That's what Dennis says. You've seen that, isn't it?
Yes.
And my question is that true?
Untrue, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It's not true.
It's not true.
Okay. Did you ever give the deputy governor any 300,000 over and above the 500? Is there any other, apart from the 500 that we've seen, is there another 300,000 that you gave him?
There is no anyway. I've given him the 300,000.
As Dennis says, okay. Now, I would like to move on to, at paragraph 16 to 17, it is said that this issue has been reported to EACC. You are aware of that contention that it has been reported to EACC, isn't it?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You're not aware?
I'm not aware.
But you are aware that Dennis says he has reported to EACC?
Yeah, I have heard.
You've heard from Dennis?
Yeah.
Now, the bank statement, the bank account from which the money was drawn is your cooperative bank account and your wife's M-Pesa account, isn't it?
That's it.
Has EACC summoned you to record a statement on that issue?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
They haven't, up to today.
Up to today.
Has your wife been summoned on this issue?
No, please.
Okay. Now, it is said also that Dennis wrote a demand letter for the payment. You saw that claim by Dennis, isn't it? A demand letter.
I've not seen that letter.
Just a minute. You are aware that Dennis says he wrote a demand letter to the deputy governor saying, give me back my 800,000. You saw that claim by Dennis, isn't it?
That claim, yes.
You saw that.
Yeah.
Is it true that you have ever seen a demand letter from Dennis?
Aaron?
Have you seen any letter demanding?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You've not seen.
Na mtazamaji, karibu kwenye taarifa hizi za yanayojiri. Taarifa ambayo ilikuwa inakujia hivi punde ilikuwa ni kikao ambacho kinaendelea katika bunge la Seneti ambapo vile vile wanasikiliza yale madai ya kutaka kumuondoa mamlakani naibu gavana wa kaunti ya Kisii Dr. Robert Monda akiwa pale anasikilizwa na bunge la